Made a video earlier today, making a video now. Just wanted to, instead of doing some of the lists, today was just one of those days where I was reflecting on, my drinking and my stories that went along with that, and my regrets that happened when I was drinking. And when I was making that video, I was talking about catalysts that continued my drinking. Something that I thought was going to stop it, but ended up doing it while I was in was my military career, which was just the National Guard. But I wanted to reflect on my career. Again, these are always kind of like just journal entries, something I want to have a lot of reflection in, and if someone can pull something out of it, if someone can relate, I would love to hear that, because these are just my inner thoughts, and when they're released, let's say to the public, they can be scrutinized, which is crazy, because now that I'm putting myself out on YouTube, things can be reflected on by others. So that's an interesting little paradigm there. But I want to start this by just saying welcome, and I'll start from the beginning and all the way to the end. So let's start by saying that I was always into military movies. My dad he went to Germany before I was born, and he has his own stories of basic AIT and his time in Germany. When he was able to go to different countries while serving his tour in Germany. And that was always interesting to me, because now with your kind of bans in other countries, and it doesn't seem as easy to do that now. But yeah, he traveled to Switzerland and other countries when he had time off. So that was pretty cool. My career was a lot different. Like I said, I liked Army movies growing up. I liked Band of Brothers. I liked playing Brothers in Arms on Xbox. I like playing games like Republic Commando. I know it's not that's like Army, but Band of Brothers was like a big inspiration for me, because that's what I thought it was going to be. And I had a buddy, his name was John, and he was more into the Army type of idea than I was. I always liked it, but he introduced me to a lot of like a movie called Restrepo, and a few other kind of wartime movies. So my options when I got out of high school, let's say, were kind of slim. I didn't have an idea of going to college or an idea of what I wanted to do. And one of the ideas coming across my mind constantly was joining the car business as a salesman, right there with my dad. But I lacked the confidence, and I lacked the willingness to do sales. That's a tough job. I guess if you have the forte to do it, then go ahead, but I do not have that. I've done a sales job since, and it was not for me. So I'm happy I didn't choose that career path. But instead, I just stayed home after high school, and I was working at Hannaford's, a local grocery store in Massachusetts, and just kind of fumbling my way, watching a lot of porn, eating like shit, and staying up late playing video games, and just doing goofy ass shit. My life was in disarray, and that continued for some time after high school. I'm trying to get the dates correct, and I don't think I took a year off but we graduated graduated in like May or June. And I was just kind of fumbling around for a few months without any direction. And I didn't have any direction. I didn't have any goals or aspirations. Nothing. It was stay at home and maybe something will come across. And that something did come across me kind of in that time of need. I didn't know I was needful of that. But it happened. So, I was just at work at Hannaford's at the grocery store. And I think I was stocking shelves at the end of the day, which was the best part of the job. And my buddy from high school came around, and he saw me. I saw him, but I think he saw me first. He was like, "Hey, Jake, what's going on?" And I was, it wasn't. It was literally in the town that I grew up, so it wasn't out of the ordinary for someone that I know bumping into me. But when he bumped into me, something was a little different. He had more drive. I could just tell that from high school to now, over even just a few months, he had more drive. Like, he just looked different. And that's what I, took away right away. Note, I went to high school with him, and middle school and elementary school. We went through all the years together. So I knew him pretty well. And then he was like, "Yeah, I just finished AIT." And I had no idea what the fuck that was. And he was like, "Yeah, I went to San Antonio. I have an MOS, my Army job, whatever, and that's a medic." And I was like, "Damn, man, like, that's awesome." That's why I'm trying to get I don't know if I'm getting the dates wrong. I feel like I took a whole year off of high school. I feel like I did. But I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to reflect. I think I graduated in 2011, so I think I might have took a year off of high school. I think so, which is pretty crazy. I wasn't doing anything in the meantime. But I don't know if I'm getting dates wrong or whatever it may be. But nonetheless, he had finished basic training, finished AIT. He was looking good, I could tell. And he was like, "Yeah, man, it was a good experience. San Antonio's awesome, and now I'm in the Guard, and I'm sticking around here, and gonna be going to college." And it was just crazy, because I was like, "Man, how do you go about that? Like, how do you even start that? How do you go from not doing anything to being like, I'm gonna join the Army and go to college and have direction?" So I was not really envious. I was more questionable about how it all starts. So then he was like, "Hey, man, I've been working out. I want to stay on top of it, and I'm gonna be working out every day this week in the morning." He was just going solo, just doing runs and PT. And I hadn't done physical activity for a while, besides biking. I would bike, but I didn't keep my running up and cross country and track, but I just didn't keep it up after I graduated. And he was saying wake up at 6:30 or something, and I was like, man, I don't know about that. My sleep schedule was out of whack. I didn't wake up early. I was not, besides for work, it's just not something that I would want to do on my days off. But I had time to think about it. I went home and reflected on, kind of what he was saying to me. And I decided to wake up that fateful morning and drive to the high school. It was over the weekend, if I'm not correct. But yeah. Or it was over the summer. I think that might have been it. So there's nobody, no kids in the high school there. But we then started running. I was definitely out of shape. We started doing sprints from we were running on the streets, doing sprints from light post to light post, and he was kicking my ass. I was like, oh my god, man. And then we were doing push-ups and sit-ups at the end and whatnot, and I was like, oh my god. So we continued working out, just me and him, for about a week or two. And then my buddy John, so his name was Evan, my buddy John started tagging along, and we all started running as a group. We started getting our cardio up again, started getting push-ups, sit-ups back. And then he was like, what do you guys think about joining? Which it was pretty regular, especially back then. It was always, and I think that's the story of a lot of people, is you get out of basic AIT, you start seeing people that you know, and you start wanting to get them in shape and them join whatever. I did the same thing, and I was like, oh man, like I don't even know like what. And he's like, well, you guys can talk to my recruiter, and he can get you guys kind of acquainted with the beginning steps. So yeah, we went to see the recruiter. Nice guy, but he's a recruiter, so don't have too much faith in them. And he was like, all right, like, what do you guys think you guys want to do for an MOS? I had no clue. We haven't even taken the ASVAB yet. So, he was kind of giving us the rundown of what to expect if we did go forward. Gave us some time to think about it, went home, thought about it. And then he was like, all right, I came back, same with my buddy John, and we said, let's do it. So then we had a day to go to MEPS, which is always a delight. And they treated you just like you expect, just like shit. You go to Boston and you start doing all the tests and whatnot. But I believe before that you have to take the ASVAB. So yeah, you have to take the ASVAB. I took the ASVAB. I think I scored a 58. So yeah, not the best. A lot of the guys when I was there were failing. I think there was 11 failures. And I think that was, at the time, 32 or less. And then my buddy John got like a 78 or something. And then Evan had got a 76, so I kind of felt like shit. Like, just dumbass. But then I went to see the recruiter. He, said what jobs we could get. And my buddy did Blackhawk Mechanic. And then I did Signal Support, 25 uniform. And, you just work on radios. And 25 uniform is uniform. Like, Universal is what they called it. And it was a bunch of different MOSs kind of wrapped into one. So I was happy with that choice. I didn't really know what it was, but I was happy. It seemed fun enough. So we continue working out in the meantime. I go to the bakery department at Hannaford's, and we get a gym membership. We start working out there. We start going to like breakfast in the morning. We make a pretty good routine. We do it every day. We meet up and we start, beating our personal best run times, and we start getting our push-ups and sit-ups up, and our overall physique. We start doing boxing. So yeah, things are pretty good. And then I go to MEPS to get all the tests done, and they say that I have like a heart murmur, so I have to wait. And my buddy John gets sworn in then, and he has a date to go to, I believe it was Fort Jackson, right in South Carolina. And then I have to wait, got to go to the doctors and just get that checked out. So it was just like a slight heart murmur, and they said it was fine the next time I went to MEPS. But I had to go again to MEPS, and then they were like, all right, like, we're gonna have a destination for you. So my dumbass sees okay, and it takes me time to like just digest it. Like I was like, what is okay? Like what is like obviously the state, and it was Oklahoma, and it was saying Fort Sill, and it's an artillery base in, I would like to say in South Oklahoma, not too far off from Oklahoma City. And I was just like, what the hell is that? So then I do the swear-in ceremony. Might be getting stuff messed up. Swear-in ceremony might have been later on where you do it and then you get sent off, but I don't know if that was right. So I'm gonna say I did the swear-in ceremony. So it was like a definite. I was going to Oklahoma. So my buddy John goes a week before I do, and I go the week after. And so, I stated in my drinking video, we made a fire pit, and so for that summer, we are just having drinking with all my friends. We're doing get-togethers at Evan's house and John's house. We're just it was a fun summer, a lot of drinking, but it was working out. It was getting ready for basic, and really, I was young enough to be able to drink and work out. But we worked out a lot, and my personal best records were being beat from cross country, and I was in really good physical shape. So fast forward, my parents come to drop me off and be there to see me go to basic training, and I'm the only guy going to Oklahoma from MEPS that day. So that was my first time being on a plane besides skydiving, and I was nervous. I didn't know what to do or anything like that, and I was just like trying to find the terminal, and I had no clue. Like there was nobody there. And then go on the plane. Then we go and have a flyover to, I think it was North Carolina or Georgia. It was Georgia then, yeah. And we then I started meeting more people from Georgia who are going to Oklahoma. So I started, and like these are, fortunately, one or two of these guys was actually in my basic platoon. One of them, I forgot his name, and I was pretty close to him. I forgot pretty much everyone's name, but he ended up being the second best runner in basic. He was really good at running, and so then we go to Oklahoma from Georgia, and we get on the bus, and we're watching Green Lantern. I remember that. I never watched the movie before, but I just remember we were watching Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. And then reception begins. They're yelling at us to get off the bus. We get all our stuff. We end up going to sleep around 2, where everyone's meeting each other. We're finding our bunks, blah blah blah. We're taking showers in an open area, and it was just overwhelming. And I didn't have a smartphone back then, so I couldn't look on the internet to spend a second to do anything. So we go to sleep at like 2, and then they wake us up at like 4:30, and then reception just begins. Typical reception. You get the peanut butter shot up your ass, or in one of your ass cheeks. You get all those shots. You got to do all the paperwork, all the legal stuff. You got to do all, they torture you with the changing, then change back. We did that for like 4 or 5 hours. All the PT, all the stuff that you would expect. I do want to do a part 2 to this video, so I will be wrapping this up pretty soon. Just talking about reception and maybe beginning of basic. But reception was actually longer. Something happened as far as getting drill sergeants ready, or this platoon ready. So we had to wait in reception for, I believe, around 2 weeks. So we were in reception for about 2 weeks. every day was about the same. You know, it was right before basic, so pretty much all your rights are gone, but you got to use your phone at the end of the day in reception. So it wasn't total freedom lost. So then it starts counting down to when we're getting ready to go into our units or platoons. And, you know, the whole time I was nervous just because I didn't really know. I mean, everyone's nervous. You don't really know what to expect. Luckily, my buddy kind of told me not to do certain things, and that saved my ass. Because right away, something happened to this kid, and he just didn't hear the advice from anyone. Nobody was looking out for him. But yeah, we get our platoon. You know, some people that I was in reception with, luckily, they followed me into the platoon. And yeah, that will be a story for another time. Probably tomorrow. I'll probably do the finishing touches on this, and then do a part 2. Or I'll just start right from part 2 and talk about basic and talk about AIT. And then part 3 will probably be the future after that. But again, this is just kind of a diary. I don't really find it, you know, I don't really think anyone will find this interesting. But I want to reflect on this when my memory is still new enough to remember some of these stories. So if you are watching, thank you. I appreciate it. And hopefully, you know, this will probably either be 2 parts or 3 parts. So if you enjoy all of them, then that's excellent. I'm happy that you do. And then, like I always say, it's easy enough to just make a video in your car and get used to talking in front of a camera, and then post on YouTube and make your own channel. So thank you again for watching, and hopefully you'll enjoy part 2 when it comes around. Thank you.